Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Atira Hidayah binti Muhammad Ilyas. My metric number is 259158. So, I will present on the background of John Paul KOTTER. John KOTTER was born in San Diego, California on 25th February 1947, and he was graduated from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology with a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering in 1968. And then he was completed a Master of Science in Management in 1970, also at MIT. And later in 1972, he completed his Doctor of Business Administration in Harvard Business School. And John KOTTER has joined the Harvard Business School faculty in 1972 and received tenure and a full professorship in 1981 when he was at the age of 33. And John KOTTER became a professor at the Harvard Business School, which the youngest person ever to earn that honor. KOTTER retired as a full-time faculty member from Harvard in 2001, and KOTTER also is an author of 20 books. One of his books is Lending Change, published on 1996, which in this book, John KOTTER wrote all about what people did to transform their organization. And also, John KOTTER is the co-founder of KOTTER International in 2008, where he currently serves as the chairman. KOTTER International is a world leading change company that help leaders build the capacity to drive large-scale transformations in their organization. They have some of world's biggest and brightest company, including Microsoft and NHS, to implement change. Okay, moving on to the history definitions of management theory and concept. The John KOTTER introduced his management theory, which is 8-step mechanism for lending change. This management theory is one of the most widely recognized model for change management. The management theory of John KOTTER has won widespread acceptance in the years since he first presented his leadership model, clarifying the dynamic of effective corporate leadership. This theory of KOTTER is to equip leaders to lead and help advance stagnating businesses, which in this KOTTER theory can allow a business owner or manager to resolve resistance to change within the company and encourage organizational transformation. Because according to KOTTER, successful progress will not occur until management take the necessary step to remove these barriers. So, leader should find a problem and a solution to the problems and then show people using engaging and compelling situation to change behavior. Because according to the research carried out by the American change and leadership guru John KOTTER has proved that major change effort unfortunately do not always have the desired outcome. He found out that there is only a 30% chance of organizational change success. This is why organizations implement changes unsuccessfully and fail to achieve the intended result. This dynamic model is comprised of 8 stages that can be organized into 3 phases. The first phase is creating a climate for change and including establish a sense of urgency, creating a guiding coalitions and developing a vision and strategy. For the second phase is engaging and enable the organization and include communicating the vision, empowering action, and creating short-term wins. For the final phase is implementing and sustaining the change and includes consolidating gains and producing more change and anchoring new approaches in the culture.
Hello everyone, my name is Bigot and my matrix number is 255604. For my part, I will explain about the application of the John KOTTER's model, which is the 8 steps leading change. As we can see here, For the John KOTTER's model of change, there are a total of 8 steps, and in the 8 steps, 3 stages can be seen. The first stage consists of step 1 to step 3, which is establish a sense of urgency, create a guiding coalition, and develop a change vision. In these 3 steps, it is to establish the climate of change so that the employees know that change is needed in the organization. While the second phase, from step 4 to step 6, it is to allow and enable the employees to make actions in order to allow change to happen. And meanwhile, the third phase, from the stage 7 to stage 8, it is to sustain and implement all the changes so that all the steps taken from step 1 to step 6 will show its effect. So the first step of this model is to establish the sense of urgency. During this step, it is important for the leaders to examine the potential crisis and opportunity, and also to do heart-to-heart discussions among the employees in order to establish the sense of knowing that there is something not right in the organization. And it is also to generate immediate support from the employees to commit into this change. As an example, the leader organized a meeting to inform the employees about the risk that if changes are not done, the employees might face unemployment in the future. The second step is to form a powerful guiding coalition. During this step, the leader will form a group of few people with shared commitments with enough power in order to make change to happen. In this group, the leader will also encourage the employees involved to work outside of the normal hierarchy. Like as an example, the total of employees involved, example like for 10 people, they have to work outside of their normal roles in the office. And also, during this step, good experience and good leadership are needed among the leaders and also the employees involved. The third step is to create a vision of change. This step is important because to have a vision is for the employees to know like why certain activities are held and why certain actions are to be taken. However, a vision should not be too long and also not too complicated for people to understand, and if it is presented, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. The fourth step is to communicate the vision. After the vision is created in the previous step, it is also important for the organization to communicate the vision. The leaders have to think of any possible ways to always communicate the vision, not only during formal meetings or presentation or emails, but also in their daily conversation in the office or in the organization itself. And also, it is also important that the leaders lead the talk. Although they always talk to their employees about the importance of following the vision, but they also need to show a good example, because actions from the leaders will motivate the employees to do the same. The fifth step is to remove obstacles. During this step, the leader will remove the system or the people who are undermining the vision or the process of change, such as if there are any employees that do not show good commitments during this step, so the leader will have to remove them and replace with another person. However, during this step, it involves risk-taking, but at the same time, the leader have to show give rewards or give appraisals to employees that show good example throughout this process. The sixth step is to create short-term wins. During this step, the leader will have to ensure that the short-term wins are not too unreachable or too expensive for them to reach the targets. However, it is important because these short-term wins will help to ensure the overall change initiative. And during this step also, it is important for the leaders to give recognition and also appraisal to employees who show performance and also improvement throughout the short-term wins. The seventh step is to consolidate the improvements, which is also to produce more and more change. This happens if the leader use credibility from the early wins from the previous step and also hire dedicated employees to be involved throughout this change. This is important in order to keep the ideas fresh and for the changes to keep happening in the organization. And the last step is to institutionalizing the new approaches. During this step, the leaders will continue to make changes while supporting each of the steps taken, and also they need to keep hiring new staff and think of new ideas, and also values should be changed constantly in order to make sure that the vision are followed throughout the process. And also, it is important to have new behavior and corporate success to see how much more performance can be improved from time to time.
Next, I will proceed to contribution or benefits. The first one is the 8-stage change process that has been outlined by John KOTTER can be equally applied to creating the culture and innovation development. Other than changing the organization's culture to be more suitable for innovation, we also should change the thoughts and actions. We should execute actions that are more conducive to inspire, implement, and reward when we want to change the culture. For example, organizations' culture are rules and standards, code and ethics, vision or objective. The next point is the main element to change management in the organization is the human side of change, which can lead the management success or failure. Any initiative that ignore the human contribution required in implementing successful project can be at a high risk, because human dynamics and resilience are unavoidable to change from employees, managers, and other stakeholders. KOTTER change model was the first model to emphasize the importance of leadership in terms of the successful implementation of a change process, and consider as reference to all models that subsequently developed, as well as change manager, leader, or professional. KOTTER proposed a model that can attract many managers, but he only provides little energy and enthusiasm in the first stage. For example, the creation of the sense of urgency, creating and communicating the vision, the delegation and distancing, ending the unified and anchoring the organizational culture. The change process involvement need to be active and energetic throughout the change implementation. And lastly, KOTTER's model of change management in the electronic medical record EMR was one of the reasons it is effective and successful in the United States. The change management is about the changing of behavior, maximize the ability, and achieve the result. It is to identify and expect the barriers and create a strategic solution. It is also the implementation on human side and the important practice to successful in the new world of EMR. There are many models of change management that differs from each other, but the 8 stages of John KOTTER transformational change are the one that successfully implemented in the healthcare and the adoption of technological innovation.
Okay, my name is Nofatia binti Ahmad Wazir. Matric number is 256154. Okay, I will explain the part of criticism of the management theory. We have 8. Okay, criticism we can define as the way that people judge of something. For this theory, in the article that titled A Critical Analysis of John P. KOTTER, Change Management Framework by Rajan and Ganesan, 2017, they state there are 8 criticism about the theory. Okay, let's see. The first criticism is too many visible resource, because as my friend mentioned before, there are 8 steps. So if it can lead to missing or mislook about an important point, and also can make the resource lose the clarity and validity and continuation of the resource, because to make a changes is quite require a lot of step that we must follow. So when we follow the steps, so there are every step we have their own information that important, so there are so they can affect the every information. Okay, second is low performance. It happens when the organization in the static condition, because when they don't do any changes in the organization, it can make the performance of organization become low. The employee will, it can affect the employee will feel bored and unmotivated to work. Okay, third is narrow functional goal. This is more focused on employee. To narrow their functional goal, it will make the involvement of the employees becomes little and give effect to the employees about the clarity, instruction and more strategic picture. Okay, fourth is wrong performance index. Wrong performance index, we can relate with the 3 point above. The employee performance index become wrong and ineffective. Manager will find it hard to know the employee real ability and speciality, and it can be a loss to the organization. Okay, the fifth is lack of external performance feedbacks. External feedbacks mean feedback from the customer. This become criticism because the product does not fulfill the customer demands or needed. Feedback from the customer is important thing that we should focus on if we want to survive in the business world. Okay, six is from the management itself, thought too much happy talk. Too much happy talk because too much happy talk from the senior management, where the emphasis is toward the positive, while the truth of business is to align all opinion toward the greatest accomplishment effectively, because they're comfortable with what they do in the organization, so they don't want the changes. So the senior management will tell all the good things and tell the great and did not tell the truth. Okay, 7 is people are always busy. It's something that we cannot assume that all people the same. It's a human nature and cannot be the same one people with another. Human nature also fall victim to this dilemma, as the capacity to move into the job have been completely established and their outlook is overwhelmingly shaded. It is because we itself, when we want to do some changes, it takes a long time. It requires a little time. So sometimes when people busy, they keep postpone what they want to change. Postpone. Okay, and last is no visible crisis. Crisis is an issue that we cannot see. It often happens by received bad news, low candor, low confrontation, culture and others. Employees should look serious about it because it will give negative effect to employee performance. Sometimes when the crisis happen, it made the organisation to not do the changes. It made the organisation to solve the crisis first, and then they will think whether want to do the changes or not. Okay, now we will move to the conclusion part. So as a conclusion, what I can say is the main purpose of the John KOTTER theory is to make changes in the organisation according to the proper change management process. It's happened because the strategy misaligned with the corporate goal. Based on that, we should know that changes will give a lot of benefits if it had been done by following proper steps and if they have a good discussion. What we can say is to make a small changes, we should look details and know the consequences. As the article said, the change management framework must be designed with a clear executive method for fostering the swift adoption. Not only that, the changes also, to make a changes, it require understanding from the practicing leader about the context of conceptual design before the decision are ready to implementation. So in the article also, give 10 recommendation to help the employee and employer to have better understanding about the effective of the changes to the organisation. For example, I will state the three here. First is executive tools and template for each stage of the framework. Second is checklist for identification of source complicancy. Third is goal execution tracking mechanism and templates. So with the recommendation, it can help to in term awareness on sustainability in this framework.